Jammu and Kashmir LG Manoj Sinha has announced a special Smriti Bhavan dedicated to the martyrs of PoK to be constructed by the Jammu and Kashmir government. Mr. Sinha also announced that colonies of displaced PoK families will be recognized and regularized soon. He said that PoK refugees have been suffering for many years as their voting and other rights were not recognized. Well, has the time come to defreeze the 24 seats reserved for PoK in Jammu and Kashmir Assembly? What are the steps that need to be taken to bring representation from PoK is the big question that we are asking today. Major General Dr. G.G. Dwivedi, Global and Strategic Affairs and Defense expert, joins us on the show. Mr. Vijay Kranti, China and Foreign Policy expert, also with us on the program. Mr. Sumit Peer, political commentator, joins us on the program as well. And last but not the least, Mr. Utpal Kaul, Kashmiri Pandit, here with us as well. Thank you everyone for taking out the time and speaking to us. Mr. Kranti, if I can begin with you, sir. Sir, you belong to a POJK family and, you have shared thoughts in the past as to how, more semblance has to be brought about by the ruling government to make sure that inclusivity is the mantra when you talk about PoK. Defreezing these seats, do you think that's the only way that some sort of an ice will be broken?
Defreezing of seats is a part of the solution only, but it is a very significant part. Without that, you cannot solve the problem of Kashmir, especially the kind of environment and the violence, terrorism, separatism. If you have to handle it, you will have to do it. You will have to take care of these 24 seats, which are for POJK people. The reason is, if you look at the delimitation which has been existing for last almost 70 years or plus, it was 111 seats. It looks very good, 111 seats. And Sheikh Abdullah, with the support of, active support of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, he was given the freedom to do the delimitation himself, whereas in the rest of India, it was done by Delimitation Commission. So Sheikh Abdullah did it very deliberately. Out of 111 seats, he froze 24 seats, which were for POJK, and gave a very good reason. When we get POJK back, with these seats will belong to them. Looks very good. But the reality is, by doing that, out of the 87 seats, he gave 87 seats to Kashmir Valley, which occupies only 4.4% of the geographic area of Jammu and Kashmir state and Ladakh at that time. He left only 37 seats for Jammu, which stands for 22% of regional the geographic area. And he gave only 4 seats to Ladakh, which occupies more than 70%, to be exact 73.97% of the geographic area of Jammu and Kashmir belongs to Ladakh. So, and he gave only 4 seats to Ladakh. And over and above that, there has been a very systematic constitutionalized rigging system going on in Jammu Kashmir, which was patronized by the state, of course, which was executed by the state and was patronized by the center. Why I call it constitutionalized rigging? Because in addition to giving permanent majority to Kashmir Valley to make all the laws, which if you go to the list, you will be horrified. You know what Hitler did in Germany to the Jews, it will look pale. What Sheikh Abdullah, his family and all others, they did to the non-Muslims in Jammu and Kashmir. Will you believe that those families, now that word is not allowed to be, is considered illegal. The sweepers family, originally they were called Bhangi. Those who were living in Jammu and Kashmir, who came from Punjab, Jammu and Kashmir government, any child who was born in that family, his certificate, birth certificate will have a stamp on, only eligible for Bhangi's job. Can you imagine? This is what they did. They changed the law for the women. For all those non-Kashmiris who came from the Punjabi part of Pakistan, they were not allowed in admission in their children were not allowed in education institutions. They were not allowed to take government jobs. They could not even join cooperative banks. They were not even qualified, for Indira Awas Yojana kind of plans. They were not qualified to take bank loans, and this went on for more than 70 years. And when I say of constitutionalized rigging, another example you see how they divided the constituencies. If you go by in Jammu, Gandhinagar area, Jammu, 1,66,000 voters for one MLA seat. Jammu West had 1,51,000 voters plus 311 for one MLA seat. But in Gurez, only 17,554 people would elect MLA. In Karna, only 32,700 will elect an MLA. In Khaniar, 50,000 will elect an MLA. This was a constitutionalized rigging system. And more than that, in Ladakh, what they did to Zanskar area, those areas which were not contiguous to Zanskar Valley, which were at a distance of 60 kilometers, 50 kilometers, in Langartse, Bartu, Barsu. These area was included in Zanskar Valley, which were not contiguous, which were 60, 70, 100, 150 kilometers away from Zanskar. They were included only because those were Muslim areas to ensure that no Buddhist can win. And it never happened in 70 years. They did not allow it. When you see that this kind of constitutional crimes have been happening, today the demand of PoK refugees, when they ask for only 8 seats out of 24, I disagree. No, all the 24 seats should be defrozen.
Okay, all right. Let's get a response from General Dwivedi as well on this. General Dwivedi, your outlook and your perspective towards what needs to be done here. Obviously, the history is replete with injustice. The history is replete with the impropriety. But all of that can be corrected by the government at hand.
The point is, the political problems can be only solved through the political means. And defreezing of the seats is part of the political process. And we are a democratic country. And it is the premise that the people must be represented, elections must be held. So therefore, there is no denying that this is the way forward. The point is how to put this into practical shape, how to give the nitty-gritties into practicality. Now, these are all the technical matters, but the point is, in principle, it must be accepted that all 24 seats must be unfrozen, defrozen. Because until you bring the people into political process, you cannot actually achieve the integration of PoK. So I feel that first and foremost, this process must be put into practice. Secondly, we need to be fair to everyone. Now they have the delimitation of seats. It is 114 seats, 90 are with Jammu and Kashmir, and the 24 which have been frozen, these need to be actually defrozen. The 3 very important points I want to bring in on the table for the viewers. First and foremost, integration of PoK is a leftover of the partition agenda, and this must be pursued, I think, both internally and externally. Second, it gives a voice, to almost 7.5 lakh refugees who are actually no voice. They are the sufferers. And by doing this process, I think we'll actually have the voice of the people, they'll be represented. And on the other side, the people who are not here, but in PoK, their issues will be also brought on the table, because the political process means in the parliament, in the assembly, you discuss the issue, you flag the issue, and then you find the problem through process of consensus. So I feel that this time has come now to move forward on a political direction after the abrogation of 370, I think ground has been prepared, and with the delimitation of seats, the process has been set into motion. Now we require political will, and we need to actually give vent to the voice of the people, and I feel this process must be put into practice. And my last point is, see, military solutions are no solution to the political solution. We can only set a stage, and having served in the valley and other parts of Kashmir number of times, I feel that now the time has come. Militarily, situation is well under control. The militancy and terrorism is under control. Now is the time to give a big push, a heft to the political process, and I think this beginning can be made once we defreeze the seats, and whenever the elections, which are possibly due anytime soon, then this whole process will be set into gear, and we will be moving toward a political integration of POK. Vineet.
Those are extremely important points that you have made. And Sumit, taking a leaf out of what General Dwivedi said, that the political solutions obviously will come about if the political will is strong enough. Why do you think this particular push is taking longer than required?
Vineet, when you look at the J&K, it's a very complex problem. This problem has been there for last 70 years. It's only after the progression of 35A and 370, your clock starts ticking. It's almost 3 years when the things have started. The important thing is to get the development there, which has got terrorism and all the terrorist shelf life is reduced to 7 to 10 days. That is done. The investment is coming. The investment is coming from Gulf countries. A lot of Muslim countries are investing in there. And at a global level, nobody is talking about the Kashmir. So the clock started when you abrogated 335A and 370. Before that, there was a glass whale, which was set by Sheikh Mahmoud Abdullah and his family, and the three famous families of Kashmir. And incidentally, we need the elections in Kashmir have been a fixed match. Valley around 4-10% of the area, controlling 80% of the seats, 75-65% of the seats. It is always that even with a 7% of the voting, somebody from the Valley will become the chief minister. Why is it that Dogras never got the representation? Why it is Hindus never got the representation? Bakrawals, SCs, and backwards, nobody got any representation. Why there was not a Hindu chief minister in J&K so far? Why will 7% of the voting a National Conference chief minister or PDP chief minister will come? Whole of Jammu will wait and vote, and Kashmir Valley will vote only with 7% of the voting. There will be a Kashmiri chief minister. What was this magic about? Because it was all a fixed match. Now the time has come. Before 35A and 370, you could not have done anything. Because even the Supreme Court did not have jurisdiction here. IPC was not applicable there. The right of education was not there. If a girl marries out of a Kashmir, her property is not there. Balmikis were denied their rights for 72 years in a row. It never happened anywhere in India except this state. A Balmiki was destined to be a Balmiki. Even if you're an IAS, you're an engineer, you're an IITian, as per the J&K Constitution 370A, you're destined to be a Balmiki. Where does it happen? And on the top of that, Rohingyas could get domicile, they could get citizenship. And our brothers from POK, 30 lakh of them, they faced genocide. They were slaughtered, their women were sold. Yet they were not given any right. They didn't have a foothold. They are people with no land. Now, for the first time after the 35 and 370 is gone, that glass ceiling is broken. We need things have started putting in place. We don't have to count 75 years, we have to count just 3 years. Now, in 3 years, I can see whatever we have done in 3 years, that could not have been done in last 72 years. That is the reality of life. Today, we are talking of POK, we are talking of domiciles, we are talking for government in exile, we are talking of, Gilgit, Balchistan, we are talking of liberating the territory. The people of POK are with us. They are saying we want to get integrated with Mother India. The groundswell is there, food is not there, ration is not there, medicines are not there, and let's not forget who is the country wherein maximum Indian citizens are being applied. It is Pakistan. Pakistanis are the number one to apply Indian citizenship. There is no comparison between India and Pakistan. This is heaven and that is burning and rotting hell. So people of POK and all want to get to India because it is economical, it is strategic. The future of their kids, the future of their generations is secured here, not there. And let me tell you, sir, even if you are in second highest number of missing people are reported in POK. POK university degree is not kind of accepted in mainland Pakistan. There's no food, no work. They are treated as second-class citizens. And after they have come, they have protested. They are saying we want to get liberated with Mother India. Now Pakistani rangers are literally shedding I mean, shaking. Now they are trying to do a faltu census in which they are trying to show them as Pakistani nationals. But even people of POJK have realized, and including GB, I'm talking about, that there is no future in Pakistan. We are doing the right steps. That is why they are coming to us. That is why they are asking us to get liberated. We have a Bangladesh-like movement here. There are a lot of Sheikh Mujibur Rahmans there beneath. This is the time to go for push comes to shove. We have to do what we have to do militarily, politically, and diplomatically. A government in exile, recognize all the districts, have these district commissioners, have district ministers, have a plug and play governance. Tell to the whole world, tell to the United Nations, tell to Americans, nations, the whole world that this is our territory. It's a matter of time. We are going to liberate it because it is unfinished agenda of our freedom. And our brothers and sisters who survived for 75 years, POJK, these refugees, they deserve freedom. Abhi unko azadi nahi mili hai. Unless and until wherever they are in the world, they don't get domiciles, they cannot vote. And all those 24 seats possibly are not frozen. And let our brothers and sisters from POJK who have paid a price and who have suffered as in no man's land for 75 years, let them be the part of that government in exile. And let's end this fixed match of so-called, in J&K, wherein by default a Muslim chief minister will get elected even with a 7% of voter turnout. This does not happen anywhere in world, sir.
Okay.
This used to only happen in J&K.
Let's also get a reaction from Mr. Kaul on this. Mr. Kaul, the problem is obviously, like Sumit pointed out, complicated, but the calibrated approach by the government, is in accordance with the safety also of the people of POJK.
Vinny, thank you very much, and thank you very much, NewsX, for taking this very, very important issue of POJK. I know when I was a child, some 55, 60 years back in the streets of Jammu, how these POJK refugees were marching from morning till evening and demanding rights for these refugees. And I think in our civilized society in India, they are the worst sufferers for last 75 years. Nobody was listening to them, not to talk of Jammu and Kashmir government and not to talk of central government in India. It is such a big discrimination was done with them. And I totally support them. Kashmiri Pandit community and communities all along from Ladakh to Jammu in Kashmir, they support their demand, and these seats must be defreezed, and more representation from POJK refugees must be in the state assembly and also in Indian parliament, because they have been discriminated for last 75 years. And the Sheikh Mohammed Abdullah government and the governments of Bakshi Ghulam Muhammad and Ghulam Muhammad Sadiq and Mir Qasim, everybody played tricks, and they, I can say, they made fool of central government also, and playing games and not giving them any right to vote in state assembly, not to give them employment, not to give them education. And I think I'm sorry to use the strong word, because they were Hindu minority, and if they would have been Muslims, they would have been definitely got all opportunities. I may give you one example what happened. There was one constituency in Srinagar, Kashmir, it is called Habakadal constituency, where there was concentration of nearly 30,000 voters in one constituency. But when they saw that there will be a Kashmiri Pandit representative from that Habakadal constituency, they divided it with this their local delimitation. So what I mean to, what I want to say, that it is high time that we are thankful to government of India and to Modi ji that Article 370, 35A, as Sumit Virji has said, the discrimination with these Valmikis, the discrimination has come to a core, and they will get their due. And they, I have seen on TV how their children were in tears, in emotions, when they got the right to education and right to employment. Now is the time that this nation must stand behind these POJK refugees. We must not call them now refugees. They are the proud citizens of Jammu and Kashmir, and they must get the same right which everyone has, and they must vote, they must represent, and I recommend they must be the people who will become ministers and who will become chief minister in Jammu and Kashmir, because they have been discriminated all along for last 75 years. Thank you.
All right, almost towards the end of our important discussion, we will take concluding thoughts, starting with Mr. Kranti.
I would suggest that number one, instead of what one group is asking for 8 seats out of 24 to be defrozen, it should be all 24 seats. And the PoK refugees who are not living inside Jammu and Kashmir, like my family, my father died 50 days before what happened to be finally 370 and 35A, and all his life, he and my mother were never given citizenship of Jammu and Kashmir after they migrated from Mirpur of PoK, because Sheikh Abdullah and the central government, they would say that you are not, because PoK is constitutionally part of India, so you are not refugees. The central government will not recognize them as refugees. Jammu Kashmir government will not recognize them as citizens. So my father, my mother died unrecognized as children of Jammu and Kashmir. And we are thankful that Modi ji has broken this ceiling, and now the atmosphere is there. Out of these 24 seats, I would recommend that 12 seats should be reserved for those PoK citizens who are living outside Jammu and Kashmir. They include Delhi, Bhopal, Varanasi, Chennai, Guwahati, and London, and Canada, and America. They are living away, and they have not been in this current delimitation campaign. All of them, those who are living outside, have been debarred even from applying for citizenship or.
Right, sir.
So this has to be changed. This has to be corrected.
All right, Jal Dwivedi.
Well, Vineet, I think that we need to review our, Jammu and Kashmir policy. Now it should be driven more by politico-economic process. I think as far as the military situation is concerned, it's well under control. And you can see there's a groundswell both within, on this side of the LOC and across, that the groundswell today is for the renaissance of the Kashmir Valley, Jammu, PoK, Gilgit-Baltistan. They are all now on common page. So therefore, political economic process is now the way forward. Secondly, we can't lower our guard against the proxy war of Pakistan. That should go hand in hand. I don't say that should be seconded, but that should go hand in hand. And now we require very strong political process so that the elections are held with all 114 seats on the table, contested, and we should have the political representative now to take the whole process in their hands and lay a bright and a great future for Jammu Kashmir, including PoK, Gilgit-Baltistan. Vineet.
Sumit.
Vineet, I only know one thing. When it comes to your land, when it comes to your people, when it comes to liberating of souls, when it comes to people in dire need, Sam, Dham, Dandabhed, whatever you can do, we have to liberate that land. And secondly, unless and until every refugee of PoK, GB does not get citizenship and the voting right in J&K, our freedom, our agenda of freedom and liberty will never be filled. These all 24 seats must be kind of liberated. I'm saying liberated. And this fixed match of a so-called election and delimitation in J&K must end. Let's send the round and clear message to ISI, to CIA, to Americans, to Russians, to anybody in every corner of the world. India has come to a stature where it needs what it gets.
Mr. Kaul, quickly, sir.
PoK is part of India. It was part of Jammu and Kashmir, and Maharaja Hari Singh has signed the treaty instrument of accession with India, and accession is for PoK also. So it is a legally part of India, and India should very seriously demonstrate that we are very serious to get it back. And at the same time, those refugees who are in Jammu and other parts of India and outside India, they must get proper representation in assembly and in Indian parliament.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.